Alright, look, it might be shallow if I say this, but I probably wouldn't have bought the Firebird if I'd have seen it like this. So if you've been following along with us, you know that we have a 1978 Firebird Esprit. We call it a Firebird Formula because that's kind of what I wanted it to be. So that's what we're rolling with. The car originally shipped in 1978 with what we believed is a small block 350, not the 350 Pontiac we have in there now. Now, I think this because of two reasons. And I grabbed the Pontiac Historical Society paperwork from this car just because I was really curious about it. So let's take a look at this real quick. So as we can see, it's an LM1 car, which means it's a 350 4-barrel car. Typically, that's going to be a small block Chevy, being a 78. And the second reason we think that it was a small block Chevy is because when we looked at the car and put the motor mounts in the last video, we noticed that there was witness marks around the mount where the small block Chevy mount would have been. You see the color is listed as well as the Firebird Esprit name tag. The car was actually fairly expensive for the day. So it was a California car with a lot of options. The 350, air conditioning, the console, the rally gauges, soft tinted glass, door edge markers, power disc brakes in the front, power locks, power windows, a decent radio, the tilt steering wheel, which I am a massive fan of, being 6 foot, and the automatic transmission, and the velour custom trim group, because of course you're going to with a brown car. Yep, the car's brown. So when I say brown, I mean brown, like Rockford Files. That's what this car is like. So if you know the Rockford Files, you will know the brown Firebird Esprit that he's got. That's basically this car. The 69 color code is for the Chesterfield Brown color code, which is, some people might call poop brown. However, it did have, which is super annoying, it did have the interior that I looked for when I originally looked for one of these cars. They had the camel tan interior. Anybody that knows me knows that I love a white, tan, and gold car. It's just my thing. I like the simplicity of it. And this car, when I saw it in pictures and saw the whole thing, I was like, oh man, white, Trans Am. You never see those. It wasn't a Trans Am. It wasn't even a Formula. It was a Esprit. And they took the tan interior that I would have loved to have had and dyed it all black. So this would have been a camel tan interior with those super nice seats. And as we're going through this paperwork, you'll also notice that there are engine ID pages. These engine ID pages basically tell you that there was a 301 available in that year, a 400 available in that year. The compression ratios, the series, the block numbers, the cams that were in them, things like that. All the information you need for your car. If you have a Trans Am, a GTO, something like that, great information to know. If you have a Firebird Formula or Firebird Esprit that came with a small block, then you are screwed, basically. This stuff is basically for cars that have Pontiac engines. Otherwise, they don't really know, which kind of makes sense. But that was that paperwork, which I thought was cool in itself, right? The car started as that basic brown and tan car. Not bad, not great. I'm sure it looked good in its day. I'm sure the secretary that bought it probably loved it. But then we did a little more digging on the car, and as I dug into the car, rolled my sleeves up a little bit, and did some work, we found a book. This book was actually like the original owner's manual, at least we're guessing. What's cool about this is it really shows that the original owner of the car, or second owner maybe, really loved this vehicle. I have kind of a suspicion to believe that this car passed hands a few times before getting to the guy before me. But let's take a look at this book. So as I went digging in there, I found this. This is the owner's manual for the car. So, of course, inside, outside covers are torched because they've sat for I don't know how many years. But I went through the book, and just kind of like, oh man, it's interesting, how things have changed throughout the years. Things like they used to kind of throw kids into these tubs in the back seat. That was safe. And as I'm going through this book, I read more and more, and then I get to the back where the owner's records are, and I noticed that the person that had this car absolutely loved this thing and took extremely good care of it. I mean, take a look at these notes. It looks like these notes date back to when the car was purchased in, it's like 81. 33,800 miles on the car when the person bought it. So that's a pretty new car, right? But it looks like over time they did the tune-up, oil changes. So the person likely owned this car from like 81 through 90. And then around 2000, you notice there's different handwriting here. And it's saying there's a new engine, but if you look up, you'll notice that there was a rebuild in 85 on the transmission with a shift kit. So it's could be upgraded for the same transmission. Thinking that it is there's no freaking way. But it's got 350 in it, so I don't know. And in 2000, it was a all new engine rebuilt. It's 100 miles on it, all fluids topped off. And they changed the fluid again at 700 miles. Finally, the odometer rolled over, and they kind of lost track, got rid of the car, something happened. Now, what happened next was the car was purchased by a college student. This college student changed a bunch of stuff about the car. But during this time with this younger person, it acquired the Formula hood, it acquired the paint job, the Trans Am fenders. If you look in some of the videos, you'll notice that the Trans Am fenders actually have blue underneath them chipping. The hood is just caked full of Bondo, so that's got to get taken off and redone. But the whole spirit of the car for what we're going towards now is essentially what the car wanted to be and what I want the car to be honest. The car was purchased with the thought of building something unique and something from scratch, basically. I've never really accomplished a project like that before. I've never really done something that we started from absolute scratch. I mean, every car I've ever purchased that I've worked on has been a good car. I mean, the Camaro was perfect. And I learned a lot really quickly. So when I went to go purchase the car, I was told that it was a 454 big block Chevy. Obviously, that's not the case. That being said, whatever is what it is. For the price of the car, I wanted the car anyway. Brought it home on a trailer flatbed. Got it home. Pulled the thing into the garage. Did a couple basic suspension things in the front end. Went and drove it. Still drove like crap. Looked in the back end. It's like, oh, I don't know how I missed this. The rear leaf spring mount was through the frame rail, so we had to pull all that off, redo the frame rail. The entire car is polyurethane bushings now, so it's a really good upgraded car. It should perform well for us when we get down to it. So it's got suspension with that as well. So we did UMI springs along with just basic KYB shocks to get it on the road until I can get things kind of moving. And of course, once I got the suspension and everything kind of dialed in, the engine blew. So that meant that I had to go pick up that 350 that I picked up for $300 or so. And once I picked that up, I was able to throw that into the car. And we're making progress again. But the goal with the 350 is going to be just strictly trying to get into 12s for as cheap as possible. Shouldn't be that hard. If you're interested in what we're going to do with the engine for the Firebird, you might want to subscribe because we're going to talk about that in a later video. Basically, though, we're going to do cam, ported heads, things like that. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I have a lot of things I need to work out before I figure out what I actually want to do. So, and I think 2 weeks we're going to come out with that video, so subscribe for that if you want to see that. I'm sorry, guys, this was a lot of rambling. A lot of it's just stuff that I've been thinking about with my car, and I've been wanting to kind of discuss with you guys, and things that I've seen, things I've noticed. We're probably hoping it'll get running by the spring and be on the road by the spring with the way things are going, and I'm doing this full time now, so there's a good chance that we can get both cars on the road and actually get some road trips in as soon as winter's out of here in Michigan. For those of you that have been helping the cause and clicking the links down in the description for the Amazon affiliate links, the eBay stuff, and for those of you that have joined the memberships, thank you and really appreciate it. It goes a long way, helps us pay for everything we do here. Have a good one, guys, and I will see you on the road.